Welcome to the Play and Record podcast, brought to you by Live from the Groove. You can find these podcasts on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music and more. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe and share this podcast with your friends. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Huge thanks to everyone supporting, sharing and keeping the vibe alive. Now let's jump right in.
Right then, so welcome. This is Scrabble, aka Ben Hamill, or I should say Ben Hamill, aka Scrabble, shouldn't I? That's probably a better way of putting it. Yeah. You were imagining you were Ben Hamill first.
Yeah.
Before you were Scrabble.
Ben Hamill most days, yeah, I would say.
So yeah, thanks for coming and thanks for being the first guest on it, mate.
My pleasure.
All the way from Dublin. So we first met each other in college. Around, what year was this? 2000
No, it would have been about 2003, I reckon. I was I'd been at Cannon Slade, which is a school 2 minutes from Turton, with a little bit of rivalry, let's say, maybe. So they both had a sixth form as well. So I listened to your podcast and you was talking about going to college and stuff like that. For me, you know, even getting into sixth form was like a shock. And I remember Cannon Slade, like the main guy at Cannon Slade, had said to us, "You'll never go to this sixth form." And I remember
that surprises me because you've always been very intelligent.
I was also like, in the kind of wrong group. I mean, I was like smoking. Most of my school from year 9 to the end was smoking weed. Basically, every lunch, getting a team between three of us, and
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So that does affect your school, I would say, for sure. But I did do well, actually. I got a pretty good GCSE. So they did say to me, and the reason why they weren't going to let me in is because I remember I lived in Darwin, and that's where my family still is, which is obviously not that close to the school. So we used to always get a bus. And the bus would take about 45 minutes to get into the school, so there was obviously like a lot of time to mess about. And I remember one time it was a double-decker bus, and we did these things called pylons, which is what someone would shout pylon, and then everyone would just jump on top of one person randomly on the bus, and it got that out of hand. Like, we were going fast as well, and a bus window just popped out, double-decker bus as well, so it like fell, thank God, not onto anyone, because they would have died.
Ruthless days then, weren't they? I remember the pylon days. I remember being at the bottom of a pylon once, and there was only about 4 or 5 people on it, but it was I'm convinced that's where my claustrophobia fear like originates from. That and being stuck in a lift later on, but I'm
not surprised. Yeah, it's pretty intense. Yeah, that and the bus is one of those things where, because like you're interacting with a lot of the older kids. So I remember the first time I ever got the bus as a year 7. Like, of course, you know, you think I'll go to the back of the bus, and like if you start walking up to the back of the bus as a year 7, like you're gonna get absolutely rinsed. You're
either very, very brave or very stupid,
or you got an older brother or something like that. Maybe, but even then you're gonna get in serious trouble. So there's like there's a hierarchy on the bus, and anyway, obviously we all got the bus stopped straight away. But that was like one of many bus incidents. I think the first one, I tried to hit someone with a banana and they ducked, and it just hit the bus driver on the back of the head. Again, there was a lot of bus incidents. And so anyway, they told me that I couldn't go to that sixth form, and I kind of stood by that, and then looked at Turton, and because they had like media, and I'd done media already, so
it was like a fresh start for you then.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, I knew a few people. I think there was like 3 or 4 of us that came from that school to Turton.
Yeah.
Sixth form.
Yeah, so like Darwin. So you've been travelling from Darwin, which is about, a few miles up the road, but that is technically it's Lancashire, isn't it? Part of the Blackburn.
It's completely different to Bolton.
Yeah, it's completely different.
Speak
different. Yeah. So I think your accent over the years, it's taken like a lot of twists and turns, hasn't it?
Well, yeah. I moved to Brighton, and they didn't understand me at all there, so I had to physically change my accent, because I don't think they would have ever understood me. It's kind of coming back a little bit now because I live in Ireland, and I think it's not as
probably closer to Blackburn, isn't it?
Well, yeah, they've got a million. There's a million accents
closer to Blackburn than London.
There's like the North Dub and the South. Yeah, so there's obviously it's a rich tapestry.
Yeah.
Like everyone did that, and that's one of the best things I think about the UK and Ireland is that kind of it's that a lot of different accents.
A well-rounded. I was reading something about the origin of the Scouse accent the other day, and that's fascinating. Do you know, like it has a lot to do with obviously the Irish coming over and the Welsh that were there, and it all sort
very
of
nasal sort of.
and then obviously you had the firm Lancashire influence, and you can hear it all in there, can't you?
Well, I heard what was it? Yeah, so the Scouse is nasal because they had ports, and it used to stink in Liverpool, so they used to speak through their noses because they didn't want to smell.
Because they didn't want to smell.
But again, that could just be some Mancunian trying to,
trying to take the piss,
trying to spread misinformation about Liverpool.
More than likely.
But the Lancashire
one,
one,
first time that's happened.
The Lancashire one, which does ring true actually, because like even in Darwin now to this day, there's still loads of mills, and even here, I mean, just down the road, there's a lot of. They're not mills anymore. They're just like luxury apartments. Yeah, they're still all there.
They are.
And apparently, the reason why we speak so abrasively and so is because we were speaking over the sound of the machinery, in the factories. So that's why it was elongated as well. Like, all right, how's it going?
Yeah, so you can. It's like, do you want a brew?
You want a brew?
Like where you can hear it over the din. Yeah.
So you had to scream over the top, basically.
I never knew that.
And there you go.
So right, so you've been about a bit, haven't you? So you ended up going to Turton sixth form, which is again, it's very close to where you were going anyway, but it's in completely different school, completely different sixth form. And how did you find it? Like, what was it like?
I really liked it. I mean, I think if I could go back, I would probably do a few things differently. I was at that time. I reckon that was like the wildest year that I ever of my whole existence. I don't know what, like 17 feels like you're quite reckless, You don't really have any. You don't really give a shit about and we got into quite a lot of scrapes and stuff.
There's very little. You haven't really formed your moral compass yet, have you?
No.
I think you kind of form it when you're young, don't you? But then you lose it a bit when you're in your teenage years for whatever reason, and then you go off the rails. Yeah. For me, it was a little bit later that I went off the rails. Yeah. But I think everyone does it at different times.
Yeah. For me, it was then, and so I remember enjoying sixth form, missing quite a lot of the lessons, and being in the pub. Because you could get in I don't know if that was only the second year. I'm pretty confident even in the first year we were in that railway pub.
Yeah, we were. It was different back then because they hadn't brought in that they were about to bring in the Challenge 21 rule or something. They hadn't yet cracked down on the underage drinking as much as we know.
No, it was steady. It was just like everywhere. Even before that. I mean, even when I remember going to Sankey's at 15 and you was pretty much in Blackburn. You was getting anywhere. You could get in anywhere really.
Well, that's
when
it.
You was 15.
I was mentioning that in the previous episode. Actually, there was lots of times where we were going out when we were 15 before we met you. And then all of a sudden it sort of changed and we couldn't get in anywhere because they tightened up. You always looked a lot older than me, so you were sometimes alright.
Yeah, and I used to hang around with a lot of different people. I remember when I met you at college, I was going out with like a 35-year-old girl. And I was only 16, 17. No, maybe it was this. I was about 17.
I think that's one of the things that sort of fascinated me about you from the start. You were clearly a man of the world. I had this vision of the first time I seen you. You were wearing like a greeny yellow corduroy coat.
Yeah.
And I remember that was the coat that you used to wear all the time at college. I don't know, and I always remember the first memory of you wearing that coat, and you also have in your hand, you have a Nokia N-Gauge. So if anyone doesn't remember what an N-Gauge is, it was the most appealing phone to a 16-year-old at the time.
Well, yeah.
It was like as a phone, and you also could turn it sideways and play like Need for Speed on it and all these different games. It was like halfway in between a Game Boy and a phone, really, wasn't it? But
it was class. I mean, if you didn't have the headphones for it, you looked like an absolute idiot because you had to hold it on its side, like
sideways on the head, like a car's pasty against the head.
Exactly like a car's pasty.
It was about that sort of shape, wasn't it?
Exactly that kind of shape, and it was about as big as that as well. So you looked a bit stupid.
It was like that. Have you seen The American Office, like that, the pyramid that they make in that shit phone?
You got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
But it was great though because it had great games on it. Really, like the graphics on the games, even to this day, were were decent, you know. There was, and compared to like What Snake, which was previously available on a phone.
I mean, there's nothing graphical about that, but whereas you look at, that was like, a massive jump up.
Big. It was like better than a Game Boy Color. It was like, I can't remember anyway. It was good, decent, and there was a lot, and you could get a lot of music on it as well.
That was the other thing.
There was a lot of, you could get loads of MP3 music on it. So and it had a good enough, like, because it was massive, so the sound off it, I was obviously, now if you listen to it now with the tinniest thing ever,
tinny and quiet, but back then,
when you was what you were used to.
I mean, we used to put music on. There was a bus stop, wasn't there, outside college?
Yes.
And we used to congregate at this bus stop, and then if we fancied a spliff, we'd make the very discreet journey across the road into the railway car park. Thinking about it, that was just not discreet at all.
No.
But we spent a lot of time there, and I'm pretty sure that is how we sort of first met.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we were both in that bus stop, basically. Yeah, and both. There was quite a lot of us who smoked weed at college.
There was. But I think me and you were quite committed to it already at that point. And some people, it was like a passing fancy, but we were like, who's got the split?
And I think it's before people could, because obviously in the second year, you're just in someone's car, you know. Cause
that's a good point. There was no driving.
There was no driving then. Yeah. But also, there was no regard for being stoned and driving either. People would be like, I remember a few friends, can't name some of them because they would probably, excuse me, but I can't name them. They probably wouldn't want to be
let's not
for how
anybody.
high, but some of the people were when they were driving around back then. But of course, there was no accidents. Everyone was very safe. So
we naturally formed a very early friendship. And what music were you listening to back then? Because I was explaining in my last episode, I was kind of halfway in between listening to a lot of like rock and metal, and then the other half I was listening to a lot of like electronic music, and then maybe throw in some hip hop as well, some classic American hip hop, like the Golden Age type stuff, your Souls of Mischief, your Tribe Called Quest, your De La Soul. I was kind of journeying my way through those, and trying to find a place that I slotted in. So whereabouts were you at that point in the journey?
Yeah, thanks. And like, I'll give you a very, very quick like run through. But from a very early age, I think the first albums that I ever got given or were bought for Christmas were like Oasis albums. So that was like, right at the beginning, loved Oasis. Yeah. Massively loved them. Listened to, just stared in front of the sound system that I had, listening to the songs. My first breakup was to that, when I was I can't remember, it must have been like 7 or something. Young anyway, it wasn't like a proper breakup, it was just a stupid...
Yeah, of course, like a primary school thing.
Yeah, but then like even at a young age I remember thinking, because my mum and stepdad and my all my family, they all loved Oasis as well, so I wanted something that was my own thing that was not like them.
So you'd sort of been inducted into Oasis and you were being
so I wanted something else, and I got into hip-hop pretty much back as soon as I heard any hip-hop song. Literally it was like my new favourite tune, even when I was like 8. So stuff like Coolio. I remember buying the Return of the Mac. What was that? Mark Morrison, was it? Return of the Mac. Once again. Yeah. I bought that album.
Yeah, like an R&B hip hop sort of pop outfit, wasn't it?
Yeah. And there was loads of hip hop stuff. Even in school, like I remember that in Bolton as well, there was this like Christian hip hop group.
I know where you're going with this.
Called the Worldwide Message Track.
This is brilliant. So anyone, so the school that you went to before, the high school, that was a religious school, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. You had to go to, I think...
Just to give it some context.
You had to go to church for 5 years and get a letter signed by the vicar or the reverend or whatever.
Which is why I would have had no chance of getting in.
So there was the Worldwide Message Tribe, and I went to see them in Bolton, and they were like a house of pain.
Right.
They even had like... The song was "Jumping in the House of God, Jump Up, Jumping in the House of God, Jump Up."
I remember this. I remember hearing it. I'm actually feeling that. Jumping in the house of God, jump up, jump in the house, jumping in the house of God, jumping in the house of God, jump up, jump in the house, jumping in the house of God. Look, God, 1 and 3, 3 and the same. You promised when we meet in your name, you will
will be with us, you will be here as well. God to sing your praise, my heart's compelled. Righteousness and truth be your throne. Love and faithfulness, yours to own. Those who praise your name.
And it was actually decent, like, and then going to watch them. So there's loads of what I'm trying to say. There's loads of like weird influences, like when I was growing up. But mainly there was always like that hip hop that was coming through. By the time I got to meet you, I was doing exactly what you were doing, in the sense that I had like my family computer, which was like dripping in viruses from all of the the stuff that I was downloading.
The LimeWire and
WinMX is what I used to use.
Oh yeah, WinMX.
And it was crazy. So you just do like there was a way of like bulk adding stuff. So I was adding, I'd say like 90s hip hop classics or something, and then it would like give you like a list of all stuff, and I'd just say all of them, because it would take ages. Sometimes it would take weeks for the song to download.
Yeah,
like,
depending on how many people had it.
And you didn't know, and especially with my internet, it was shocking. So it would take forever, and then all of a sudden you'd get all this music coming through, because obviously like after a while the sort of system works, because you've got so much queuing up that actually you're getting loads of new stuff all the time. So I was listening to like a lot of like Mobb Deep, and I remember loving Mobb Deep. They were just like I remember, and that was actually not through WinMX. That was like watching MTV Base, because my dad used to have the MTV channels. Yeah,
there was some good stuff back on there earlier.
And then now and again they just put on like an incredible song. And I remember listening to Survival of the Fittest, like the video of it as well, because if you watch the video, the song's raw as hell anyway, but then the video to it is so,
isn't it?
Like there's so like sparse and kind of dark energy coming through. It's like really,
it makes your hair stand up, doesn't it?
Really, the first time I watched it, I remember just being like transfixed by it. So when I met you, I'd then gone away from like Mobb Deep stuff, and I was kind of listening to like probably Kanye West was probably in there. Yeah,
you were listening to a lot of Kanye West, because you gave me a CD and it had some instrumentals on. Some Kanye
Talib Kweli, Common, Mos Def,
Black Star,
all the Black Star, all of that kind of Chicago kind of rap. I think there was.
What about the Streets original Pirate Material?
So that's it. I mean, I got into English rap through Dizzy Rascal. Was probably the first for me.
Yeah, like, Fix Up Look Sharp. We used to love that. Yeah.
That was really just like that album. Even to this day, like there's some of the beats on there like that. Don't. I just can't. It's really kind of its time. But
and there was stuff like Kano.
Kano was really good. Kano's like stood the test of time for sure. Like
he has. I mean, he's reinvented himself as an actor now, hasn't he?
Yeah,
he's good.
I've seen him in other things as well, and he is a really good actor. But I think he's, even back then though, he had like a lot of quite dense topics that he had in his tunes. He wasn't, and then also some of his like banger tunes. Like you still listen to them now, and they're really really good, like P's and Q's and stuff like that.
Because you had like sort of all that sort of early grime stuff was sort of popping through, wasn't it? Really here and there. You had like the Roll Deep was around that sort of time. Wasn't it, as well, like Heartbreak Avenue, whatever it was called.
But it was weird because I would definitely go back then, probably with you as well at the same time as when both of us together probably discovered people like Jest and but that was probably after I'd already met you.
It was, and I've got some notes here, and I think I can pinpoint sort of where we go with that, because the reason why I mentioned original Pirate Material is that I remember you were listening to it and I was listening to it at the time we met. We were both sort of like championing how good that album was, and that to me was like, that was one of the first things that showed me that it was possible to make an album yourself from home. Like you could make something in your bedroom, because Mike Skinner was saying he made it all in his bedroom, all these beats and stuff, and obviously recorded these like sort of crusty vocals over the stuff, which today when you listen to it, it still sounds good, but you can tell like the rawness in it. So that was such a massive inspiration. There was also the DJ Shadow introducing which was introduced to me by Jez, who used to be in a band, and he did the intro to our Simplicity CD. I don't know if you remember.
Oh yeah.
But we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, DJ Shadow introducing again. That showed me. It showed me how beautiful sampling can be, and how you can reinvent something from something that already is. So you can take a piece of this and a piece of that, and weave it together like some sort of diverse tapestry. And then, you know, some people will look at that as a copyright nightmare and nothing more. But for me, you know, it was undoubtedly like a massive inspiration. Now, third and finally, I would say Rick Mal. I've not mentioned Rick Mal yet. Rick Mal was a few years above me in school, and when I was busy playing drums in bands, there was a moment in Turton High School when I was still in high school before I met you, and there was like a rehearsal sort of thing going on, and it was Mal on a microphone over some beats that he'd made himself on a PlayStation, right? Nice. And he was saying all these songs, and the teachers weren't very happy because they were all about smoking weed and stuff like that. But he were rapping all these songs, and I'd like never seen anybody like normal pick up a mic and rap before. Do you know, that was before I saw you do it. The person before that I saw doing it and I liked it was Mao, and that was that buried itself like in my brain as a bit of a you know, that is so cool. Do you know? And I remember watching him do it live at the Dog and Partridge as well, one night when which was like a little place in Bolton where there used to be lots of gigs. Nice. I don't know if you ever went, but yeah, I remember you speaking about it. Yeah. So obviously you would later meet Rick Mal.
Yes.
And, we would do loads of stuff together.
Great. Artist in general.
I'm on form, and my journey's a long walk, and I tend to get as messy as my fucking sock drawer. I'm going to show y'all, I don't move back, I go forth. I use this mic to speak to you, and it's a very long phone call.
So, how did me and you start making music? Can you remember anything about that?
So, yeah, I remember that so obviously we're mates now, into the same music, we're discovering music that we're both really into. That's more now kind of UK, I suppose. There's like a UK angle to it that never was there before. We obviously still really, really love American hip hop. Obviously, there's like that's probably what I still listen to more than anything else. You know, it would be a new American artist. But we're at a house party, and probably like before I've met you, I suppose my kind of how I got into actually rapping would have been like, again, 15 or something like that. We're in Hoddlesden, which is a village like in between Darwin and Bromley Cross. It's kind of like in the hills, kind of tiny little place, and there was like a factory, a warehouse, and we'd all done this thing which we used to do when you was our age, which was you'd say I'm sleeping at someone's house. Everyone would say they were sleeping at the other person's house, and then you do what you'd like pull an all-nighter is what you call it. And we all went down to this warehouse, and we managed to get some ecstasy. So we did pills, and for the first time ever. And it was like such a weird place. Most people's first like place would be in a nightclub with music, loads of like-minded people around them. I mean, for us it was like four or five of us. Somewhere warm, yeah. For us it was 4 or 5 of us, and we'd managed to like jimmy our way into this kind of like toilet that was like part of this factory. Like,
perfect place.
Oh yeah, I mean, to be fair, like once the pills started kicking in, you didn't feel the cold. We had a little bit of booze, and I remember someone had their phone out, obviously, and we were listening to like Dr. Dre or Snoop Dogg, because that album came out when we were at school, wasn't it?
That was massive.
That was a massive album.
You can't believe that everywhere, did it?
Yeah, that was like that was everywhere, you know, not just for people that were into like hip hop. That was just
universal.
A huge album, and I remember getting my mum to drive me to Trafford Centre to buy that, and then putting it on the way back, and it just even then you're like, oh, this is a bit awkward to be listening to with my mum.
Yeah, there's some uncomfortable skits and stuff in it.
Yeah, that was the weird thing. The skits back then were like mega violent,
so X-rated stuff, and violent, weren't they? Yeah. They were either like really violent or they were really like sexualized as well. Remember the ones on Ready to Die?
Yeah.
You know, like, there was some, oh god, you know, like just basically, how would you record that skit? Would you like, you know, the one where you can hear the headband knocking, the headboard knocking against the wall?
No.
Like, would you just? I'm just trying to like visualize how that was recorded, because in fact I don't want to.
Is it him who started? I wonder who started it off. I'd love to. We should figure that out. That's a good question.
That is a good question. Who started
the
X-rated
skits?
Gruesome skits. Yeah.
Maybe NWA.
Maybe someone is listening. Maybe they can tell us who's got a better knowledge.
Yeah.
Who knows?
My guess
is a job.
NWA or Ice-T. I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
One of them two.
Ice-T is a good guess.
Yeah.
I'd say. Yeah. Yeah, so you started freestyling, did you?
Yes, that's right. So we were at this, we were pulled up in the middle of these toilets, and we're listening to a Dr. Dre beat, and then all of a sudden I start like impersonating, not even doing anything of my own, I'm just start impersonating the rappers. So I'll be doing like Dr. Dre, then I'll switch it a bit to doing Snoop Dogg, and I know all the words, but I'm just going a bit more.
You're doing the voices or just the
lyrics? I'm doing the voices, and the lyrics, So it's more like
Snoop Deal, double chisel,
oh yeah, getting on the Dre, and then back to the
bitch.
Exactly, and then at the end everyone's like, oh man, probably because they're filled up, they're like, that was amazing, mate, if I wasn't
really,
I would never have done it.
Right,
if without the pill, probably I wouldn't do it in the first place.
Confidence.
And then they wouldn't have been open to it as well in the second instance. So and then also that after that we did it a lot more, not when we were on pills, like all of a sudden that was part of what we used to do. We were just lads like hanging around, just with not a lot to do except smoke weed and play football and get into kind of general scrapes, there was a lot of.
It's all part of the fibre of growing up in it.
But this gave us a different avenue, similar to skating as well, because we got into skating, and that was the same thing, I know. That was a big part for us, and that also changed the music that I was listening to. Then I got more into rock music, because some of the skaters that I was into would have been listening to like Nirvana and Red Hot Chili Peppers, Californication, Nevermind, all the very sort of mainstream but very good albums though. They're still very strong albums. So, but anyways, that's how I started, and then I lived in a place, a real rough place. Like a real shithole, basically, in a council estate in Blackburn. And there I met a few people that were into rap, and there was like also more kind of a UK style, because I think back when I was rapping I would have started off with a bit more of an American twang, I suppose.
You did.
By the time I meet you over that summer, I've been doing a lot more. Meeting a guy called Clement, who I didn't know would end up becoming Bill Shakes.
It's not a want, a need, or a must. I'm on speed like Keanu Reeves on a bus. KB from the pub, I'm a thug, and I'm good with the man above. What?
Like, he was someone that was rapping around Blackburn at that time.
So I do remember you saying that name at the time, and I later got to know Bill Shakes a little bit as well. He came to a night that I did a long time ago and ended up staying on my mate's couch, and that it was a bit weird. But
he's
sound guy,
very sound, and also a true Blackburn champion.
He is. He really does. He really does wear it, doesn't he? Where he's from. Yeah.
But anyway, I met him a couple of times over that summer rapping, and then a few other lads that were living in that estate. Which was like I say, it was like an eye-opener. It was like proper. And then I think there was a part of me, because I was getting into that hip-hop, I was like, I want to have that kind of street angle, even though I was not that kind of guy, and I'd not really lived that life. So they must have looked at me like, this guy's going to get like ripped from head to toe. And there was a few bad incidents anyway around that time, like getting robbed and doors through and hammers in faces and all sorts. It was a pretty scary time. So I think that's also, by the time I came to that college and saw you, I was like ready to get away from that. I moved back with my dad, lived in Darwin, and just lived a much more kind of calm, relaxed sort of lifestyle. And like now we've both got kids, like the one thing that I think they always say that if you've had like a liberal mum or dad, then when you'll end up being super strict. But now I feel like I'm like, I don't want. Well, it's a different world now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I don't know what side
crazy
I want to
back. It was much more, like you say, you're able to get into places a lot younger. There's a lot more that could happen. But so I'll get to the freestyle. So there was we're at parties basically, and I think it was a party at your house, and
I remember this. Yeah, and
like we used to have fun parties there. Your house was probably the best, because it was like there was a decent space. There was like we had the 2 main rooms, big kitchen.
Yeah.
There was the garden where you could have, could chill there as well. And I remember you having quite a lot of parties, basically.
Yeah.
More so than like
I don't know
others
how I got away
age.
with that, but yeah, I did have quite a lot of house parties.
Yeah.
Back then.
And that was great.
Yeah.
Obviously, good opportunity to meet people because I didn't really know anyone. So I was like getting to know everyone and becoming more.
Yeah, you were like being inducted into like my group of friends, really.
Exactly. Yeah.
You came to the
because you all knew each other like way before. Yeah.
That's right.
It was pretty. Everyone was like open arms and sound. I don't remember anyone, which is actually must be quite a unique situation. But I don't remember anyone in that group being like, who's this fucking guy?
Yeah.
Like, we don't want him to.
No, yeah. Well,
everyone was
very
open-minded and chilled, and we were all into the exact same things. To be fair, like if you think about what me and you were into, that was the exact same with like Paul and Joe. They were like massively getting into hip hop as well.
It was at the perfect time. That's it. Because I met you and you were well into hip hop, and I was just starting like I was in my honeymoon period. Yeah, that sort of thing. So
I think we were all just on that same train, and it's like now, and it's such a different world because now it's so accessible with like Spotify and stuff. But back then, it was like you tried to find stuff. And there was probably people much better at it than me. I wasn't going into record stores and asking embarrassing questions because I didn't want them to be like.
That's what I was doing at this point.
I was just like, I'll go on the internet and try and figure stuff out. And the internet back then, again, that was completely different. It wasn't like. And maybe I was looking in the wrong place, but I remember the forum, obviously, the UK hip hop forum.
Yeah,
where
absolutely. Yeah, we're going to get onto that, definitely. Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff there, and then I remember that party anyway. We were freestyling, and then from there, you'll have to fill in some gap because it's a bit hazy from how we got from there to like then the first recording.
That's the piece that I'm trying to I'm trying to add that piece to the puzzle. And I think from what I gather, I remember you being at the party, and then we put some instrumentals on. I think you actually instigated it. You said put a beat on or put an instrumental on or something.
Yeah.
And then you started freestyling to it, and everyone was blown away. I remember just being in awe of like, what am I seeing here? I'd never seen anything like that before. I'd seen Mal do it, but I'd only seen that from sat on the bench watching it from afar. This was like right happening in my house, right in front of my eyes.
Yeah, and I think I was always keen on that freestyle element to it even from the right at the beginning. Probably because, you didn't have to write it down and you didn't have to memorize it.
Yeah,
so
true.
It was a lot easier just to kind of have it as a party trick. And I think
you were
when
always
you're
a terrific freestyler. You always were good.
I mean, now if you look at someone like Harry Mack, it's not anywhere like he's just different gravy, isn't he? But
I suppose he's carried on like refining that craft, hasn't he?
Yeah.
For many years. And I suppose your musical stuff's taken a few different twists and turns, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So I think after the party, seeing you freestyle, we had a lot more sort of gatherings at my house, mainly involving copious amounts of spliffs. We sat about in my room, and I seem to remember like that was where we first did a recording, just out of fun. Some instrumental we'd found, probably downloaded it off somewhere, and I chucked it into my Acid program on my computer and looped it. And then I just left you going, and you were freestyling over that as well. And I think we recorded it on a SM58, which I'd got from somewhere. I think one of my old Bolton School pals had left a SM58 in my house, and I'd claimed it. Yeah, well, that's the mic I'm using right now. Yeah, SM58. It's brilliant. Not the same one, obviously.
No, that would be impressive.
That would be impressive.
It would be a bit more battered than that one, though, for sure.
So, I think from that moment we started saying, look, come on, let's actually make some music here, because I think we got a lot of encouragement from our friends, didn't we? That was a big part of it for me.
And you as well, because you had already started to kind of get into like that recording aspect and making beats.
Definitely.
So you had the equipment, really.
Yeah,
and I think that was very rare back then, really. Not a lot of people would have had.
It was, and as basic as it was, it allowed us to record, didn't it?
It didn't need to be anything special, did it? Not
at all.
Cause I be kicking it literally, quite literally. Rhyme until you're sick of me, you gotta be shitting me. If you think I'm far from victory, I was kicking the beat. I rhyme sweet like a cup of tea, with 3 sugars in it, or a mug of coffee with a digestive biscuit. You're in hot water and there's nowhere to fix it.
So we called ourselves SimpleSamples. Where did that name come from? Can you remember? Because I'm struggling with this one as well. Obviously the samples part, fair enough. Is it just
I have no idea.
What does it even mean? Simple samples, like?
I don't even know if there was other options. I remember what we called the album, Simplicity, is what
I like that.
I wanted as the name. I remember at one point I was like, that could be the actual name of us. And then I remember having that conversation with you, and he's like, well, let's just call the album that. Yeah, and we'll be Simple Samples.
In hindsight, I think you're probably right.
No, I don't know. Yeah. And it wasn't even me, it was my dad who said that to me.
I still think Simplicity is a good name, because it's...
Simplicity is good, I like it.
It's Simplicity and samples, and it's perfect, isn't it? But and then we made, for some reason, we called ourselves Simple Samples, and then it just sort of stuck, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where it was obviously back before you needed to worry about SEO and algorithms and all sorts of stuff like that. So, or even it wasn't though. What it wasn't though.
That's a good point.
It was still. I mean, YouTube was there, so we should probably. And it was You wanted to make something that was easy to find, I think.
Yeah. So
we didn't
really make it easy to find, because it was like, if you type in, even now, if you type in Simple Samples.
Oh yeah.
On YouTube, it's like how to make simple samples for your colour printer, or
It happens all the time. Even the other day, someone was like, "Oh, what have you got on Spotify?" And stuff. He showed me his Spotify tunes, and then I always like to go on someone else's phone, because then you can see, on your own
what
phone,
it looks like.
You find it immediately, obviously, because you've searched it 1,000 times. Where on someone else's phone, they never searched it. And I was like,
and it's not there.
I'm typing it in exact, and it's still not finding it. It's like, and until I've got all the way to like Bank of River, and then it finds it. It's like, I was like, how is it taken from Simple Sounds, Tales of the River, and then only to get to the letter B. Does it actually find it?
Well, you should have noticed that in recent years I've elongated the two words together. I've taken out the gap in between, so that makes it
easier,
actually easier to find now. Just that one move,
There you go.
So yes, we've slightly changed our name over the years.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a battered old SM58, right? We've got an old computer. What were we doing? What was the process of making this music?
So, again, driven by, I think, what you were making. I think one of the earlier ones I remember is that Radiohead's instrumental.
Yeah.
That was the sample in the background.
I think it's from a track called Everything in Its Place.
Yeah.
You say 6 days on the rumble and I'm looking for a place to have some fun. In this big rat race we rock, we're all going for the status. I keep tabs on the things that really matter. I'm attacking the verse to leave words in hearses. You've heard this before, but you probably don't deserve this. My purpose is strictly confidential, mental, and my style's monumental.
So, do you remember this one? There was a track we did called Sinister World, and it had, and it just went. It was a jest lyric that we'd like cut up, and it went, spitting in Tony Blair's face because I'm sick of him.
Yeah.
Spitting in Tony Blair's face because I'm sick of him.
Two lads jammed up to the max, walking like tax, slides off the back, so wax the next man. Who pays for the layers and packs, man? We're just the BBC TV license for delivery, giving me for free cause I'm watching Channel 4. Don't need to pay for ground force anymore cause it's shit. Set for Charlie Dimmock's tits, which are getting low, rich are getting poor, poor are getting poorer, more are getting border. The way that Labour favour many sitting tactics, banned everything set for plastics and fags cause the tax gets the jacks for the MPs.